For centuries, we have been taught to see ourselves as separate entities, our minds locked away in the bony fortress of our skulls. We believe our thoughts are ours alone, generated by a complex but ultimately mechanical process of neurons firing. But what if that's only half the story? What if that feeling of profound connection you get while staring at a star-filled sky, or the uncanny synchronicity that brings just the right person into your life at the perfect moment, isn't a coincidence, but a glimpse into the true nature of reality? This journey is an exploration into a revolutionary and controversial idea, the theory of quantum consciousness. It proposes that the most fundamental aspect of your being, your awareness, your subjective experience of living, is not a local phenomenon. It suggests that your mind is intricately connected to a vast, invisible network of information, a universal field that permeates all of space and time. Think of it like this. For decades, we believed a radio created the music we heard. We could dissect it, study its wires and tubes, and understand how it produced sound. But we would have completely missed the most crucial part of the equation: the invisible radio waves being broadcast from a distant tower. The radio doesn't create the music. It receives and tunes into it. The theory of quantum consciousness posits that your brain is the most advanced radio receiver in the known universe. It is a biological quantum device, exquisitely designed to tune into the symphony of cosmic consciousness. This isn't just philosophical poetry. It's a concept rooted in the most mind-bending and rigorously tested science we have: quantum mechanics. This is the science of the subatomic world, a realm where particles can be in multiple places at once, where empty space is a bubbling cauldron of potential, and where the act of looking at something can change what you see. As we delve into this, you will be forced to confront a startling possibility: that the reality you experience every day is not a fixed, objective world that your brain passively observes. Instead, it is a fluid, participatory universe where your consciousness plays a vital, creative role. Prepare to have your perceptions shattered, because if this theory holds even a shred of truth, it means that you are infinitely more powerful and more connected than you have ever been led to believe. For over a century, the dominant scientific view has treated the brain as a classical computer. In this model, your brain is an astonishingly complex biological machine, a 3-pound mass of gray matter where 86 billion neurons fire in predictable cause-and-effect patterns. This classical neuroscience has given us incredible gifts: treatments for neurological disorders, insights into brain chemistry, and a detailed map of which parts of the brain light up when we feel love, fear, or joy. It has shown us the how of brain function, how signals travel, how chemicals are released, and how memories are physically stored. But for all its triumphs, this model has utterly failed to solve what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. It can explain how you see the color red, how light of a specific wavelength hits your retina, sending an electrical signal down your optic nerve to your visual cortex. But it cannot, even in principle, explain why you have the subjective, internal experience of redness. How does a simple firing of neurons, a purely physical process, create the rich, vibrant, and deeply personal tapestry of your inner world? How does the machine generate the ghost? This is the unbridgeable gap in classical science. No matter how complex we make the computer, it remains a machine processing data. It doesn't explain the feeling of a cool breeze on your skin, the taste of a fresh strawberry, or the profound ache of nostalgia. This is where we must turn to a different level of reality: the quantum world. If the classical world is like a game of billiards, solid, predictable, where one ball hits another in a clear chain of events, the quantum world is a realm of pure potentiality. Here, particles are not solid little balls, but waves of probability. An electron, until it is measured, doesn't have a definite location. It exists in a superposition of all its possible locations at once. It is a cloud of potential, and most bizarrely, the act of observing it, of measuring it, forces it to choose a single state. The observer doesn't just see reality, they participate in collapsing it into a definite form. This radical alternative proposes that consciousness is not the end product of classical billiard ball-like neural firings. Instead, what if consciousness emerges from these bizarre probabilistic quantum processes happening at a much deeper level, deep inside the very architecture of your brain cells? It suggests that your experience of a unified single reality is a reflection of countless quantum possibilities collapsing into one definite state, moment by moment. Your brain isn't just a computer calculating a response, it's a quantum device constantly crystallizing reality from a sea of infinite potential. This isn't just an upgrade to the old model. It's a complete paradigm shift, suggesting that the ghost in the machine isn't a ghost at all, but the fundamental principle upon which the machine and the universe itself is built. So, if quantum processes are the source of consciousness, where in the warm, wet, and seemingly chaotic environment of the brain could these delicate operations be taking place? The answer, according to the groundbreaking orchestrated objective reduction or theory, lies in a place classical neuroscience has long overlooked. Our journey now takes us from the vast scale of the cosmos down into the microscopic universe within a single neuron. Inside these cells, we find a complex and elegant internal scaffolding made of tiny protein cylinders called microtubules. For decades, biologists viewed microtubules as little more than the cell's skeleton, providing structural support and acting as highways for transporting molecules. But the brilliant minds of Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an anesthesiologist who wondered how different gases could switch consciousness on and off, and Sir Roger Penrose, a world-renowned mathematical physicist, saw something more. They proposed that these microtubules are not just cellular support beams. They are, in fact, the quantum processing units of the brain. Their or theory is one of the most specific and testable models of quantum consciousness. It argues that electrons within the protein subunits of these microtubules can enter a state of quantum superposition, existing in multiple states simultaneously. Think of each microtubule as a tiny quantum computer, capable of holding vast amounts of information in this superpositional state. According to Hameroff and Penrose, these quantum computations are happening all the time, across billions of neurons. But what triggers the moment of conscious experience? This is the objective reduction part of the theory. Penrose's mathematics suggest that quantum superposition cannot be maintained indefinitely. When a certain threshold of mass energy is reached in superposition, the system becomes unstable and collapses under its own gravity. It is at this precise, self-organizing moment, this objective reduction, that a moment of consciousness emerges. Every single flicker of awareness, every thought, every decision, every creative insight you've ever had, could be the result of this orchestrated symphony of quantum states collapsing within your brains, microtubules. This is a breathtaking concept. It means that each moment of your conscious experience is a literal quantum event. And because these collapses are governed by the fundamental laws of the universe, it physically connects your mind to the basic structure of reality itself. Consciousness is no longer an emergent property of complex computation. In the or model, it is a fundamental feature of the universe, and our brains have evolved the perfect biological architecture to harness it. Your thoughts are not just in your head. They are woven from the very fabric of space-time. Now we venture into one of the most baffling and profound phenomena in all of science: quantum entanglement. Albert Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. It's a process where two or more quantum particles become linked in such a way that they behave as a single system, no matter how far apart they are. If you measure a property of one entangled particle, you instantly know the property of its partner, whether it's across the room or across the galaxy. There is no signal sent between them. Their connection is instantaneous and transcends space and time. This is not science fiction. It has been experimentally verified countless times. But the theory of quantum consciousness asks a truly radical question. If fundamental particles can become entangled, why not the quantum processes within our brains? What if our minds are capable of the very same spooky action at a distance? This idea could provide a stunning physical basis for experiences that have long been dismissed as supernatural or mere coincidence. Consider the powerful bond between identical twins, who often report feeling each other's pain or knowing what the other is thinking, even when separated by great distances. Think of a mother's intuition, that gut feeling that her child is in trouble, which turns out to be true. Or consider the uncanny synchronicities that occur between people who share a deep, emotional connection, thinking of someone just moments before they call, or finishing each other's sentences. From a quantum perspective, these are not paranormal events. They could be natural features of consciousness operating at the quantum level. If the quantum states within the microtubules of two different brains can become entangled, then a direct, instantaneous connection could be formed. The information doesn't need to travel through the conventional senses. It is shared through the underlying entangled field that connects them. This suggests the existence of a collective consciousness, not as a vague spiritual idea, but as a potential physical reality. We may be individual nodes in a vast, entangled quantum network. This perspective reframes intuition not as a magical sixth sense, but as the reception of information through this quantum channel. That gut feeling might be your quantum mind picking up on information that isn't available to your classical sensory mind. The feeling of being on the same wavelength with someone might be a literal description of your brain's quantum states resonating in harmony. We delve into the preliminary but tantalizing research that suggests these seemingly psychic events are not violations of the laws of physics, but a deeper expression of them. It implies that on a fundamental level, we are far more interconnected than we have ever dared to imagine. In the old world of classical physics, the universe is a giant, clockwork machine. It was set in motion at the Big Bang and has been ticking along according to fixed, deterministic laws ever since. In this view, you are a passive observer. You are a passenger, watching the scenery of a pre-written reality go by. Your consciousness is an epiphenomenon, a byproduct of the machine, with no real power to influence the world outside your skull. But the quantum realm demolishes this comforting, yet disempowering, worldview. In quantum mechanics, the observer is not passive. They are a participant. As we touched on earlier, a quantum particle exists as a wave of all possibilities, until it is measured. The act of observation, the act of consciousness focusing on it, is what seems to collapse that wave of probability into a single, definite outcome. This is known as the observer effect, and it has the most profound implication of all. Your consciousness is not just experiencing reality, it is actively participating in its creation. This isn't to say you can simply wish for a car and make it appear in your driveway. The world has immense inertia, but it does suggest that on a subtle, probabilistic level, your focused attention can influence the physical world. Consider the data from experiments like those conducted by the Global Consciousness Project (GCP). For decades, this project has used a global network of random number generators, RNG. These devices are essentially electronic coin flippers, and their output should be completely random. Yet the GCP has found small but statistically significant deviations from randomness during moments of globally shared attention and emotion events like 9/11s, major natural disasters, or global meditations. During these times, when billions of minds are focused on a single event, the randomness seems to become slightly more ordered. While controversial and not universally accepted by mainstream science, these findings hint at a startling possibility that our collective consciousness can create a coherent field that subtly influences physical reality. Your attention is not a passive spotlight. It is an active, creative force. Where you place your focus is where you are instructing the universe to collapse waves of probability into tangible experience. This reframes everything. Worry is no longer just a negative emotion. It becomes a form of prayer for what you don't want, a process of focusing your creative energy on manifesting negative outcomes. Conversely, focused intention, gratitude, and belief are not just positive mindsets. They are tools for directing your consciousness to select more favorable outcomes from the quantum field of infinite potential. You are not a victim of circumstance in a fixed universe. You are a dancer in a dynamic participatory cosmos, and your consciousness is the music to which reality moves. What is a memory? The classical model tells us it's a piece of data, an engram, physically stored in the connections between your neurons, like a file saved on a hard drive. When you remember something, your brain accesses this file and replays it. This model explains a lot, but it has limitations. It doesn't fully explain why some memories feel so vivid they are like reliving the event, while others are hazy. It struggles to account for savants who can recall entire books verbatim, or the phenomenon of knowledge that seems to come from beyond our own experience. Let's challenge this traditional model with a quantum perspective. What if your memories are not stored solely within the physical structure of your brain? What if, instead, they are encoded in a non-local quantum field that extends beyond your physical body, a sort of cosmic hard drive? In this view, your brain doesn't store the memory. It acts as a resonance device to access it. Remembering, then, is the act of your brain tuning into the specific frequency of a past event, retrieving the information from this timeless, universal field. This could explain why memories associated with intense emotion are so powerful and clear. The heightened emotional state may create a stronger, more coherent imprint on the field, making it easier to tune back into later. It might also shed light on why certain smells or songs can instantly transport you back in time, triggering a flood of detailed memories you thought were long forgotten. The sensory cue acts like a tuning fork, helping your brain's quantum antenna lock on to the correct informational frequency. This model completely revolutionizes our understanding of learning and creativity. Creative breakthroughs, those aha moments that feel like they are received rather than generated, could be moments when your mind successfully tunes into this vast quantum information field. It's a field that contains not just your own past experiences, but a repository of potential solutions, ideas, and archetypal patterns that exist beyond your individual self, what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. The archetype of the starving artist or the tortured genius might be a misunderstanding. Perhaps these creative flashes don't come from thinking harder or forcing a solution within the confines of our own classical brain. Instead, they may emerge when we quiet the noisy analytical mind, entering a more relaxed, receptive state like during a walk, a shower, or just before falling asleep. In these moments of mental quiet, our quantum antenna is free to scan the field, to access information and ideas that were there all along, just waiting for a receiver to tune them in. This reframes learning not just as the act of stuffing data into our heads, but as the art of becoming a better receiver for the infinite knowledge the universe has to offer. Now we turn this quantum lens onto the most personal and profound aspects of the human experience: our emotions, our connections, and our ultimate place in the cosmos. In the classical view, emotions are little more than complex biochemical reactions. Love is a cocktail of oxytocin and vasopressin. Fear is a surge of adrenaline. While these chemicals are certainly involved, this explanation feels sterile. It strips these experiences of their depth and meaning. What if emotions are more than just biochemistry? What if they are quantum resonance patterns? Think of how two tuning forks of the same frequency will vibrate in sympathy, even if only one is struck. A quantum perspective suggests that human emotions can operate in a similar way. When you walk into a room where an argument just happened, you can often feel the tension in the air. You are not picking up on chemical cues. You may be resonating with the discordant quantum field left behind by the intense emotions. This leads to a beautiful and powerful reinterpretation of our deepest connections. What if true love, that profound bond that seems to transcend words and logic, is a form of literal quantum entanglement between two minds? When two people are deeply in love, the quantum processes in their brains may become so intertwined that they begin to operate as a single, coherent system. This would explain the uncanny empathy, the shared thoughts, and the feeling of completeness that comes with such a bond. You are not just emotionally connected, you may be fundamentally, physically entangled at the quantum level. This perspective also offers a new and potentially comforting lens through which to view death. If consciousness is a quantum phenomenon, and the information that constitutes you is encoded in a non-local field, then what happens when the brain, the biological receiver, ceases to function? It may not be an end, but a transformation. The specific quantum information that made up your personality, your memories, and your awareness doesn't just vanish. It may simply be released from its local anchor, returning to the larger cosmic field from which it came. This doesn't necessarily mean reincarnation in the traditional sense, but it does suggest that your consciousness, your essence, rejoins the universal whole. It could explain why knowledge and archetypal stories, what Jung called the collective unconscious, seem to exist across cultures and throughout time, independent of individual learning. They are patterns in the field, accessible to all of us. From this viewpoint, life is the universe experiencing itself through countless individual receivers. And death is not an extinguishing of the light, but the return of a single, unique note to the infinite cosmic symphony. Of course, for any of this to be plausible, we must address a powerful and valid objection from mainstream science: the problem of dicoherence. The brain, skeptics argue, is simply too warm, too wet, and too chaotically noisy for the delicate, fragile states of quantum mechanics to survive. In a physics lab, quantum effects are typically observed in environments that are isolated, shielded, and cooled to near absolute zero. Any interaction with the outside environment, a stray photon, a vibration, can cause the quantum state to decohere, to collapse prematurely, and lose its quantum properties. How could any quantum computation possibly survive in the bustling 37-degree Celsius soup of the human brain? This is a formidable challenge, and for decades, it was the primary reason that theories of quantum consciousness were relegated to the fringes. However, the game is changing. Thanks to the startling and revolutionary discoveries emerging from a brand new field: quantum biology. This field is proving that nature isn't just aware of quantum mechanics. It has been masterfully exploiting its bizarre rules for billions of years. One of the most stunning examples is photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert sunlight into energy. For a long time, scientists were baffled by its near-perfect efficiency. It turns out that when a photon of light strikes a chlorophyll molecule, the energy doesn't just stumble randomly through the plant cell, trying to find the reaction center. Instead, it enters a quantum superposition and travels along all possible paths simultaneously, instantly choosing the most efficient route. Plants are, quite literally, using quantum computing to eat sunlight. Then there's the mystery of bird navigation. How does a tiny bird like the European robin navigate thousands of miles with pinpoint accuracy during its migration? The leading theory suggests it uses a quantum process in its eyes. A specific molecule in the bird's retina is thought to use entangled electrons. The Earth's magnetic field affects these entangled electrons in a way that creates a visual pattern superimposed on the bird's normal vision, essentially allowing the bird to see the planet's magnetic field as a kind of quantum compass. These are not fringe theories. They are rapidly becoming accepted scientific facts. Nature has figured out how to shield and sustain quantum coherence in warm, wet, biological systems. If plants can use quantum superposition for photosynthesis, and birds can use quantum entanglement for navigation, then the proposition that nature has also harnessed quantum mechanics in its most complex and mysterious creation. The human brain no longer seems so strange. It's not a matter of if quantum effects can happen in biology, but a matter of discovering all the ways they already do. The warm, wet brain isn't a bug. It might just be the most advanced quantum feature we've ever encountered. This journey into the quantum mind is not just an abstract, intellectual exercise. If its principles are true, it offers a profoundly new and empowering way to live your daily life. It provides a practical framework for enhancing your creativity, making better decisions, and navigating your reality with greater ease and purpose. Let's explore how you can start living from a quantum perspective today. First, let's reframe the process of decision. In the classical model, making a choice is a logical, linear process. You list the pros and cons, weigh the evidence, and try to compute the best possible outcome. This can often lead to analysis paralysis, where you get stuck in a loop of overthinking. The quantum perspective offers a different approach. A decision isn't a problem to be solved, but the collapse of a quantum superposition where all possibilities are being explored simultaneously in the field of potential. Your job isn't to force a decision, but to allow the best one to emerge. How do you do this? By quieting the classical mind. The next time you face a big decision, instead of thinking harder, try getting quiet. Go for a walk in nature, meditate, or simply sit and breathe. Present the question to your deeper self, and then let it go. Trust that your quantum mind is exploring all the potential timelines and outcomes. The answer will often surface not as a logical conclusion, but as a clear flash of intuition, a gut feeling, or a sudden sense of knowing. This is the collapse of the wave function into the optimal path for you. The same principle applies to creativity. We are taught to cultivate creativity by brainstorming and working harder, trying to generate ideas from within our own limited knowledge. But from a quantum perspective, creativity is not about generation. It's about reception. The ideas already exist in the quantum field. Your task is to become a clearer channel. This reframes activities we often dismiss as unproductive, like daydreaming, doodling, or simply staring out the window. These relaxed, non-linear states of mind are not lazy. They are essential for accessing the vast potential of your quantum mind. They quiet the static of your analytical brain, allowing the faint signals of insight and inspiration to come through. When you feel creatively blocked, the solution isn't to push harder. It's to relax, let go, and allow your quantum antenna to tune into the symphony of ideas that is constantly being broadcast. By embracing this approach, you transform your life from a constant struggle into a graceful dance of co-creation with the universe. We've been conditioned to believe that personal growth and healing are slow, arduous, linear processes. We think we have to chip away at our traumas, gradually build new habits, and inch our way toward a better version of ourselves. And while gradual progress is certainly valuable, the quantum model introduces a far more exciting possibility: the quantum leap. This is the idea that the most profound changes in our lives don't have to happen incrementally. They can happen in an instant. What could possibly trigger such a rapid transformation? The research points to a powerful combination: a clear intention combined with an elevated emotion. When a person achieves a highly coherent state of mind, when their thoughts are perfectly aligned with a feeling of love, joy, or gratitude, they can create a powerful electromagnetic signature. This coherent signal, broadcast from their brain and heart, can trigger a sudden reorganization in their psychological and even physical reality. Think about the phenomenon of spontaneous healing or remission. These are cases where individuals with serious illnesses suddenly and inexplicably recover, often after a profound shift in their emotional and spiritual state. From a classical perspective, these are inexplicable miracles. But, from a quantum perspective, they are not miracles. They are natural results of consciousness directly influencing the quantum field of probability that governs our well-being. By entering a state of profound coherence, these individuals may have effectively instructed the quantum field to collapse a new set of possibilities, the possibilities of health and wholeness, into their physical reality. This isn't about positive thinking in a superficial sense. You can't just repeat affirmations while feeling terrible and expect your life to change. The key is the alignment of thought and feeling. The clear intention is like the coordinates you're plugging into the cosmic GPS. And the elevated emotion is the energy that powers the signal. When you can truly feel the gratitude for your healing before it has happened, or feel the joy of your success before it has manifested, you are moving beyond the classical model of cause and effect. You are no longer waiting for your external reality to change your internal state. You are using your internal state to change your external reality. This implies that you don't have to wait years to overcome a limiting belief or heal an emotional wound. By cultivating these states of high coherence through practices like meditation, gratitude, and visualization, you can create the conditions for a quantum leap. You can collapse time and space, moving from your current reality to a desired new reality in a single, transformative moment. The longest journey is not from your problem to your solution, but from your incoherent state of stress and fear to the coherent state of wholeness and love. We have arrived at the culmination of our journey, where theory transforms into the ultimate practical tool. We conclude by exploring the most powerful, yet most overlooked, creative force at your disposal: your attention. From a quantum perspective, your attention is not a passive mental faculty. It is the most advanced technology you will ever possess for shaping reality. Where you place your focus is where you direct the energy of the universe. It is the chisel with which you sculpt your life from the infinite, unformed clay of quantum potential. Every moment of every day, you are collapsing waves of probability into the reality you experience. The question is, are you doing it consciously or unconsciously? Most of us live our lives on autopilot, our attention hijacked by our environment, our past conditioning, and our fears. Worry, from this perspective, is not just a harmless emotion. It's a destructive spiritual practice. It is the act of using your powerful, creative focus to visualize and energize the very outcomes you don't want. You are meticulously programming the quantum field to manifest failure, sickness, and loss. Conversely, sustained, focused attention, combined with a coherent, elevated emotion, becomes the most powerful, creative force in the universe. This is the technology that ancient traditions called prayer, faith, or focused intention. It's the act of holding a clear vision of your desired future and wedding it to the emotions of its fulfillment: gratitude, joy, love. When you do this, you are no longer a victim of your reality. You are its architect. You are broadcasting a clear, powerful signal into the quantum field. A signal that instructs probability waves to begin collapsing in your favor. The quality of your consciousness is not just an internal state that affects your mood. It is a creative force that is continuously and actively participating in the weaving of the cosmos. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, is a vote you cast for the kind of world you want to experience. This is the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate freedom. So, the lesson from our journey is this: become a conscious steward of your attention. Stop allowing it to be scattered and wasted on things that don't serve you. Treat it as your most precious resource. Learn to direct it with intention and discipline. Practice bringing your awareness back to the present moment, for it is only in the now that you can access your true creative power. Cultivate the elevated emotions that align you with the reality you wish to create. This is not about controlling the world. It is about mastering yourself. Because when you change your inner world, the quality of your consciousness, your outer world must, by the very laws of the universe, change with it. You are not just a collection of atoms. You are a focal point of cosmic consciousness, endowed with the incredible power to choose your reality. What reality will you choose to create today? What are your thoughts on this? Have you ever had an experience, a deep intuition, a meaningful synchronicity, or a moment of sudden insight that made you question the classical view of the mind? Share your story in the comments below. Let's explore this new frontier of consciousness together. Thank you for joining us on this mind-expanding journey. I wish you all abundant health, happiness, and a deep connection to the quantum potential that lies within you. And if this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the nature of reality.